Hey there, everybody. So, this is our review so far for the Civil War, Chapter 7 for Alabama history. So, in Section 1, you guys have already read Section 1 and Section 2, but in Section 1, we read about the North and the South, how they disagreed. In Section 2, you guys read about the Confederate States of America and the war. And then today we're going to look at Alabama at the home during the war. But before that, I want us to review really quickly the terms that you needed to know here for Section 1: urban, rural, and secede. We learned about the states' rights, how the northern and the southern states had different points of view. POV. They had different points of view about the Constitution. Most Southerners believed that the federal government had the power to make laws only about a few things, but states could pass their own laws in all other areas of their life. All right, now let's look at population. We remember that urban is more like the city, closer to the city, and rural is more like living in the country. How most of us in, Wedowee and Randolph County, we live in the country. We have people where people have small farms, small towns, those type things. Free states or slave states. As America grew, more states were added, and then as the states were added, they might make slavery illegal or legal. Southern states wanted new states to allow slavery, but the new states didn't always necessarily want that. And here we have the great state of Alabama leaves the Union, okay? And here's one of our vocabulary words: secede. Secede means to withdraw from or leave. So by 1860, many in Alabama wanted their state to secede. That means they wanted to withdraw from or leave the Union. All right, and then in Section 2, the Confederate States of the American War, there were 4 terms that we needed to know. Inaugurate, that means to begin. This week, we will see an inauguration for our new president of the United States. That's an inauguration where he is beginning his presidency. You'll also see, if you watch the inauguration, a procession. That's where there's a parade, a motorcade. And then we have unionist. A unionist is a person who opposed the Civil War. Opposed means they were against it. They did not want it. And then surrender means to give in. Like you surrender, you give in. And this is Jefferson Davis, and we'll look at him in just a moment. So on February 4th, 1861, delegates from 7 southern states met to set up their new country, the Confederate States of America. Montgomery, Alabama was supposed to be the capital. Because of this meetings, the state was called the cradle of the Confederacy. This is Jefferson Davis right here. And let's see his importance and significance. He was chosen as president, and Alexander H. Stephens was vice president of the Confederate States of America. All right, and then here you can see the light blue states, all these light blue states, those are the Union states. And then down here in the South, these were all Confederate states. So Alabama and Georgia, Tennessee, Mississippi, Florida, all the surrounding areas, they were Confederate. And then the border states are the darker blue. And then these out west were the territories. Jefferson Davis inaugurated in Montgomery. Remember, inaugurated means started. That meant that he started his presidential run. Procession, again, that's a motorcade or a parade. The Unionists, as we just said, they didn't want to leave. They did not want to leave the United States. The Civil War. Remember, surrender means to give in. The war between the states, or the Civil War, began on April 12, 1861, with fighting at Fort Sumter, Charleston, in South Carolina. Confederate General Beauregard demanded the surrender of Fort Sumter. The Union commander refused, and fighting began. The next day, the Union troops surrendered at the fort. The war was fought mostly in the South. This caused lots of hardships for families, and many towns and cities were destroyed. So, urban and rural areas were destroyed. All right. So, about 100,000 Alabama men fought in the war. Thousands of them died. Soldiers would often bring their own supplies: horses, guns, clothing, and slaves to help fight. And then this is President Abraham Lincoln, one of my all time favorite presidents. And no, I was not alive when President Lincoln was president. All right, so the Gettysburg Address. Let's see what Abraham Lincoln has to do with the Gettysburg Address. So, one famous battle was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, in 1863. This is where about 6,000 people were killed in 3 days. The Confederacy lost. That means the southern states, they lost. In November, President Lincoln made a speech at the battlefield. And this speech is called the Gettysburg Address. All right. So the war divided families. Sometimes the families, brothers fought against brothers, fathers and sons fought against each other. Um, about 3,000 white Alabamians, 10,000 blacks fought in the Union Army. And now today, in just a minute, you're going to watch me introduce Section 3, Alabama at Home during the war.